Ooh, excellent. All right, thanks everybody for being here tonight. This is our last meeting before school starts. I think it's each of us were pulling up here. It was nice to see the parking lot with cars in it. Kids are running the halls, so like it or not, summer's over.
Literally,
But
Rob.
yes, I had to get out of the way. But yeah, excited to be here and a lot to discuss. So let's get started with the pledge of allegiance.
I'm used to that. I know.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
We have a couple of new hires. Are they the coaches? They already on here? Ruben?
You want to do that when we get to the consent, like adding the consent?
Yeah, let's add to the
changes
consent
are
agenda
consent agenda.
within the consent agenda. So, yeah, there are a couple. that we need to
Excellent,
add
excellent.
on. So if there's nothing else, we'll move to the first session of public comments. And we have limited in-studio audience tonight. Is there anybody online that wants to make a comment? Please raise your hand now. Doesn't look like it. We will move directly to the superintendent's report and I'll hand it over to Ruben.
Great, so we're starting school pretty soon. That's gonna happen on the 28th, first day of school for kindergarten through grade 12. Pre-K begins after Labor Day. Lots still yet to do, from a physical plant standpoint, also from a professional development and classroom setup standpoint. So we're very excited to, as a result of our last negotiations with the JREA, we were able to put 2 more days in for in-service for new teachers. And so we had a wonderful Friday in-service day here. We started here. Everyone was able to get their technology right away. They made sure it worked so that it could be used for the rest of the time because we do so much with the technology and so many of our systems are online and everything. So we found that to be the most important thing to start with. And then we had a lot of conversation around just introducing people, and Jen Horn provided a mini session on the difference between 504 and IEPs and the responsibility that we all have within the district for both of those areas, and also the legal sides of those areas. And then Heather Lidstad also provided some information relative to getting involved with the learners, both co-curriculars, after school and athletics. It was a little bit of a recruitment session. That's Heather. She did a great job. We had HR and Leanne also spoke about payroll and finances and stuff. So a lot of questions to both of those individuals. They had the shortest conversation time, but had the longest, number or the largest list of questions. And so that was good. And then we did something I think really neat. We hadn't done this before. We took everyone and anyone who wanted to go. So it would be all the administration. We had many people from the SAU went all on a bus. First, our bus company provided a bus and we went and toured all the schools. Literally toured the schools and just had a great time. And people gave people an opportunity to get to know each other, to build relationships, to see kind of what the district looked like, and to even just get around the area, and to have the ideas that we wanted to foster a sense of community, which is our theme. I'm going to be talking about this year at the very beginning about community, continuing to build that community, and understanding that what takes place early on in the lives of these children has a direct connection to when they graduate here and then beyond as well. And that we're all part of all of these schools, even if we are, for the most part, working in just one location. And so a lot of the time was spent here that day, today. A lot of their learning and their sessions that they had were in Range Memorial School. And then tomorrow, a lot of it's at Jaffrey Grade School. So we're really trying to make sure that people are getting around to all the locations and that we're not doing everything here as we pretty much have always done, with the exception of maybe an event at RMS once in a while because they have a bigger gym. But to be in each place and for the people who are working there, these new teachers who are setting up their classrooms and stuff like that, to be able to show off, you know, the cool things that they're already just beginning to do in their classrooms and to talk with other colleagues from the high school or from the other elementary school and ask for their ideas. And I think that was really a neat way to start off. And again, decision, we have a collective leadership approach here. Those were not my ideas. Those ideas were developed from a team of individuals who said, let's try something different. Let's take a little bit of a risk and do it. And I think it paid off so far. Talking about the bus company, they provided that service to us. And we, of course, are, if you may have come while you're coming in, you're driving by, you would have seen them parked over in one of our lots because they need a space for their buses to be housed for a little while they fix their parking lot over in their area. So we're glad to be a good partner with them. And being a good partner means looking at our agreements and seeing, can we do things differently? Can we do things better? And how can we, you know, in a time when there's a shortage of bus drivers and but more demand, is there a way to reimagine or relook at how we're doing business and still get at least what we need, if not more? And we have come together after several meetings, and I'm pleased to say that within our current budget, without adding anything to the taxes, or the tax or more money in that would impact taxes, we are tentatively scheduled, and this will be publicized. I hoped today, but my meetings ran over. I'm going to email tomorrow all families in the community, knowing that a couple things. One, late buses, they'll get more information about this, but the 16th of September is when we are planning to start that, both in Ringe and Jaffrey. Elementary, we have to figure out how to best use that, how to appropriately use that, because when you're talking about a late bus, you're not talking about going door to door. You're talking about choosing a dozen places to kind of that are in specific locations and dropping people off. And so if you have a second grader, age matters when it comes to bus stops. I think we know that. And that if a second grader is at night being dropped off at 5:30 and there's no adult there, that's a bit of a problem. So then what would normally happen is they would bring the learner back to school, but there's not going to be anyone at school at that point in time in most places. So we have to figure that one out. But we'll figure it out. We'll problem solve. We can talk more about that. It's a little bit easier with the middle high school. And it's a little more straightforward. But when you think of like, how could it support the elementary? Well, it could support it for after school tutoring. You could support it for more kids getting involved in clubs as well there, because we want to really ramp things up at our elementary levels. One of those is that we've talked about a little bit is the potential after school program over at Jaffrey Grade School. We know that is we believe that is a need. The community, I think, believes that's a need, and they've shown that they believe that by going to their select board and the town itself saying, yeah, we've got to do something. Let's partner up. And I'm very excited to say that I had a great meeting this morning with the town manager, who's really spearheaded so much of this and is keeping the ball rolling. He has a consultant working with him. They've got people who have applied for the coordinator role. They're the fiscal agents of this. We have, the Rotary is coming in stronger with their support of this program from a financial and also, I suppose financially, I think they'll support in other ways as well, but also with, I think, some desire to keep that funding sustainable through fundraising efforts that they have. And really, that's a unique thing to the Rotary. in this area. And then other local organizations as well are interested in either providing financial support and or other types of support to this effort, this initiative. We are currently looking at a possibility and hope of starting at early October. Early to mid-October is where we believe we'll land on that, but all arrows are going in the same direction right now. We are also, from a school standpoint, yes, we'd be donating the use of the space. That's certainly an in-kind donation. That's really important. Also, we have, it's because it's at Jaffrey Grade School and we have title funds for tutoring. It would give us an opportunity to provide tutoring for kids after school as well in a way perhaps that we've never been able to do that before. So the list goes on. As to the benefits, the more we get together, the more we partner, the more innovation happens, the more sustainability can take place. And it's partly sustainable because both the bus situation, for instance, and also this collaboration with all these organizations, and the college will be part of that as well, is at no additional taxation to any of the community. So we're really very proud about the work that we're doing. When it comes to fruition, there's going to be more work to be done, but I have a feeling we have a good track record in the last, 6 or 7 years that when we've gotten our hands dirty, we've come up with something really good. So those are some big items. CTE, I haven't talked much about that in the public session, not really for a while anyway. And I can say that the project is still moving forward, that every week I have meetings, and that we are working on making certain, especially this past weekend or week was a focus on making the space a location and an environment where all the community, whether it be the school community during the day or whether it be the greater community after or before hours or on weekends, can utilize it in a variety of ways. And so we're making it flexible, certainly making it look really modern, nice, crisp, but also putting everything that's necessary in there to meet the needs of kids who want first and foremost the construction trades. Do something we're doing well, we can do a whole lot better. Also the public safety and security, we have some of those courses already. This can improve that strand and deepen it significantly without much addition of staff, or maybe not adding staff at all. And then the real add-on, but really one of the more popular ones through the surveys is the culinary arts. And we've seen how popular that is just with our after school clubs that we have with Baking with Baker, and we've already been with him bringing them to competitions to other schools and even going against other CTE areas and doing well. It's something that matters to our kids, and certainly all of these areas provide our learners with hands-on, practical, spatial experience that helps them gain those 21st century skills that sometimes you just can't see, but you got to have in order to navigate now and in the future. And that's my report for tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, Ruben. Any questions or comments? Any of those items?
Sounds like a full agenda that you've had this summer, so thanks for all the updates.
Did you want me to bring up Barrett Christina's question? Or is that another time? It's the board matters probably.
Yeah, we can talk about that then.
Okay.
Yeah. We can talk about that then.
You've been asked to participate in something, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I think it's great. The late bus, if you take a look at the example of the late bus and the, after school programming, those are two examples, right? I think it becomes easy because there's a real need there. The community and the school both sees a need and we're responding to that. I think, and right, when there's no additional cost to at least the taxpayer, that makes it really easy. I think with CTE, I know based on the plans that I've seen, that we're going to present a very good plan, and that this really is something that the public wants. And I hope that that is part of our kind of messaging, right? I hope that the public realizes that we are doing this because we're hearing the demand for teaching the trades, hands-on learning, all of that. That's what this is. And while it's not free, certainly, you know, having 75% of it paid for is an opportunity that we're not going to get again. So I think that's, you know, I fully expect both of these, the late bus and the after-school efforts to be successful, and I think the CTE will follow on nicely, and I think we'll be talking about it a lot. And it will be very exciting, right? I use that word exciting because I think that is the case with this one. So that'll be excellent, exciting year. I didn't have anything else to say, so no.
You're all invited Friday morning here to take part in our experience. We'll have it's not gonna be here. It's gonna be a Ringe Memorial School. Friday morning is, well, Thursday is the unencumbered day for teachers. Friday, we are doing the whole, like a, 30 minutes, all together time in the gymnasium over at RMS. We'll follow with a brunch. Partly that is paid for through some of the funds that we have budgeted, but also through the Jaffrey
Ringe
Education
Education.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Yep. They everyone's. I haven't sent out an invitation yet.
What time would that be?
Hmm.
Okay.
I believe it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to give you that
Confirmed,
information.
yeah.
It could be 8:30. I think it's 9.
Any other questions or comments for Ruben?
Well, I think one of what's so impressive about the potential for the after-school program is how many community members are involved. So it's not just the school, it's the town, it's nonprofit organizations, and it's Franklin Pierce. I mean, it's layers and layers overlapping and connecting and making us stronger all the while. And I think that's pretty amazing, and it's a very impressive effort.
It's easier when everyone's working together.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
It's those arrows that we have shown in the past. When the big arrow is going in the same direction, and on all the little arrows internally to that, kind of making up, they're all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
So
It's like a braid,
it happens. Yep.
making us stronger together.
Right, there's nothing else. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I believe we have a couple of changes to make the consent agenda.
I have written down the names of the coaches.
Yep.
So I would like to add, and I hope I get this name right, Gary Beaton, Beaton, okay, for middle school soccer coach. And Carrie Lindstad as JV volleyball coach, in addition to being the varsity volleyball coach.
Okay, those will be added to the consent agenda.
Also, we want to add the resignation of Mary Messina. The consent agenda.
All right, so we have those 3 additional items. Is there anything else? I think that there was.
Her resignation letter, I believe, indicated that it was as effective of as August 9th, but really what happens is it's always effective the last day they worked. So okay, will be last year, but thank you for that. That's Mary Messina. She, assuming you approve that, would be the former first grade teacher at Jaffrey Grade School.
All right, can I get a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as amended.
Lisa,
Oh, second, yeah.
thank you, Sandy. Any discussions or questions on any items on the consent agenda? We have manifests, a number of budget transfers. It's like related to Student Services. Whole bunch of nominations as we fill out our staffing for the year. As we're going through here, certainly a lot of progress in the athletic nominations. Few resignations, including the one that we added. So I don't know if anyone from the board had any questions on those items. If not, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions?
I think I should abstain.
Okay. We have passes 5-0-1.
Do you mind if I introduce your new school board
Oh,
secretary?
no, absolutely. Please do.
So in your, right over here in the nominations, you'll see, 3 down. Wendy O'Brien, School Board Secretary. So Wendy O'Brien is right over here, and she comes to us with a wealth of experience in, really actually a wealth of experience and very interesting, educational background. So, I think that this is, going to be a great partnership, and, just want to make sure that you're, introduced. And so Wendy, you have Charlie Eicher. Charlie is our longest standing, from our board member from Ringe. And then we have John McCarthy, he's in Jaffrey, and Christine Pressman, also of Jaffrey. Christine is currently the vice chair of the board. Then we have Chris Ratcliffe over here from Ringe, who is the board chair. And we have Sandy, hold on, Stuart, thank you, from Jaffrey. And we have Lisa Wiley from Ringe. Not present tonight, although maybe in the audience, I'm not entirely sure, but not present physically here tonight is Kim McCoy, and Kim McCoy is the at large. So she's voted on by both communities.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
I'm having a little party here.
yeah,
Welcome, Wendy. We look forward to working with you. So next up on the tonight's agenda is the unassigned fund balance retention.
This year. What's in the other room? I'll let her know when we've got this.
She's right
Okay,
there.
it's right there. Okay, I didn't see it.
I
okay. So Carrie wrote us a little letter here. She says to the Jaffrey Ringe School Board and to Ruben Duncan, the superintendent of schools, Carrie Shields, chief financial officer. And it's regarding the retention of the 23-24 year-end unassigned fund balance. And so you can see a lot of your detail is in the first and second paragraphs. First paragraph lays it out there that the district has an unassigned fund balance of $2,897,210. $2,897,210. The school board last year retained what you have there, plus there's an additional almost $1.9 million. So in 2021, we were given the permission by the voters to retain up to 5% of the current fiscal year's net assessment. And the board has chosen or can choose to do that. That is the recommendation of the finance committee, but you can certainly ask the finance committee why. That would be a good thing to do before voting. To retain up to $1,157,757. And then if that were the case and that took place, that would mean that we would also be providing a little over 1.7 million back to offset taxes in Jaffrey and Ringe. Not written in here, and these are estimates that I'm about to say. is that that would be roughly not only not an increase in Jaffrey to the tax rate for next year, it would be an estimated, let's say 75 cents to 79 cents to 80 cents reduction per thousand.
Per thousand.
And then Ringe was set to have, I think it was $1.60, was it? Was it $1?
$1.68.
$1.68, it was, that was the estimated tax rate increase, and that would be knocked down to about 45 cents estimated, per thousand. Yeah, so that's what that decision. I think it's important to know what your decisions are meaning. That's
The recommendation of the finance committee was to retain the 5% recommended by the state for unanticipated expenses. The effect of doing that would be that, as Ruben says, Jaffrey's tax rate instead of going up 79 cents, instead of going up 69 cents, is actually going to go down 79 cents. And Range's tax rate is, instead of going up, like instead of $1.68, it's gonna go down, it's gonna only go up 45 cents, which is a difference between $371 and $506. So it's roughly $125 reduction from what we had originally thought. Again, those are all estimates and approximate numbers.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I was just, one of the issues that allowed us to do this, to have this, these excess funds was a great challenge in hiring, I understand, especially from student services.
approximately $800,000 within student services. Yep.
And were there other things that are worth mentioning as to why we were able to have this, return this amount?
Yeah, we were able to get some savings in transportation. There was some money left over in facilities. Some of that.
Well, also,
Yeah.
a million of that is a turnover on the retained unassigned fund balance. Because we retained $1,000,009 something last year.
Yes.
So of this.
Oh,
total-
that's definitely included.
Of this total,
Yeah.
$1 million of it is.
Yeah.
Money we didn't spend last year.
Was in our reserve and it's still retaining in our reserve. So what happens is at the end of the year, you have to decide what happens to that, because if you don't, then it gets, well, I'll explain it differently. At the end of the year, that's counted as surplus because we haven't spent it. So we need to count for that in terms of retaining it for the following. So basically, we're just gonna retain more this year than we did last year, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't know if
But
I
as
explained that right, but.
No, you explained it right. I think, John, your question was were there other relative to the money that we'd be giving back as a result of retaining this? There were other areas, certainly revenues were different than we had anticipated as well. And I think
Okay.
usually that's in the last couple of years, it's been a positive way for us. But I think, if you had more specifics, Carrie is here and she could probably answer some of those. But in general, the 1157757, which is a really cool number, by the way, is it's like that number is results in I suppose you could retain less and then you could talk tax rates and what that would mean, but it was important for you to know what the tax rates are going to be, likely estimated wise, at least what's going to go up or down based upon the money that is going to be provided back to the community if this is retained.
Okay, thank you.
And the action below, Carrie always does a great job because she's learned that if she leaves it up to Ruben to give the motion, I will probably forget at least a third of it. So she's learned, and we don't even talk about it anymore.
So I'll make the motion then. Okay. The Government School Board authorizes retention of 1,157,757. That Carrie?
Yep, that's the number that was up there.
Okay, under June 30, 2024, general unassigned fund balance for the purpose of having funds on hand to use as a revenue source for expenditures or to be used as revenue source to reduce the tax rate, all in accordance with RSA 198:4-B.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, John. Any further discussion? If not, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. That passes by a vote of 6-0-0. Yeah, thank you to Carrie and Ruben and everyone for managing the budget so carefully so that the board certainly does have the opportunity. I know some of it wasn't wanted, but
Also, part of it, as Ruben explained, is we need the student services staff that we don't have.
Right.
That's part of the 800K is from the understaffed.
right,
And people need to understand when we've got administrators like Jen, all right, doing the job of a case manager or someone else like that, all right, it's misuse of key resources.
right.
So
Over the past couple of years, we've, kudos that goes out, just like, and I can't say that enough, it's almost not enough. Like, you can say that, just the thanks to Trisha, to Storm, to Jen. Just an incredible effort to keep us not only in compliance, but I think moving forward. We've added programming during this time frame, and it's been successful. So it's
people need
amazing,
to understand.
but at a high cost to them.
It's not something that we can keep up, all right? You
Yeah.
can't look at that from a straight budget perspective and say, oh, well, we'll get another year next year. If that happens, we're gonna have
Yeah,
real trouble.
Yes,
We want
it's
to
not
fill all those
Absolutely,
positions, right?
we've done
There's negative
done a
impact.
better job this year than we have in the past several years, so we're not there, but we're in better shape.
And
I
and I
You can
think,
see from that list of nominations, there were quite a few
Yeah.
paraprofessionals and
Mhm.
added, which is exciting, because that was
Yeah, it's very exciting.
needed those bodies.
okay, moving on, we have the approval of DOE 25.
So this is better explained by Gary, our CFO. So we'll give you an opportunity if you'd like to say a few words about it's a similar process every year that we do, and this is for the Department of Education, I believe, right?
Right, so these are state reports.
Before we go any, are we mic'd well? Well, Gary? Or should I give her that mic?
Do it here.
Thanks. So the DOE 25 and the MS 25 are state reports that are required to be reported every year by September 1st. This is to finalize the numbers from the prior year so that they can move forward with tax rate setting. So the next two reports, this one and the MS 25, the MS 25 goes to the Department of Revenue Administration, the DOE 25 goes to the Department of Education. It's basically similar information, just broken out in the way that each department wants to see it broken out. So it's basically the financial statement. So you have your balance sheet information on the first few pages, then you move into your expenditures and revenues. And then there are detailed pieces of information that the state asks for to be broken down for different categories. So once you move further down, you would see different categories being broken out, like transportation is one of them. Fixed assets is another. And then there are supplemental pages at the very end for breaking out cost by different functions of instruction and teachers versus paraeducators and others for certain functions within the budget. So if the board approves these, I will file them with the state. However, keep in mind that because the board just approved the retention of the 1.1 million of unassigned fund balance, that's not included in these reports because I didn't have the approval at that time when I created it. So it'd be with the understanding the motion would be to modify this to add that retention amount to this, to the statements.
Okay.
How's that?
So you would want a motion that includes mention of that.
To
Motion.
modify this to account for the unassigned fund balance retention that the board just approved.
Okay.
Yes,
And that's for both the DOE 25 and the
Yeah.
MS 25?
I believe it's reflected on the MS 25 as well. Yep.
Do we want to do two separate motions or is it all in one?
You can do it all in one, is fine. Yep.
Terry, do you want to give us any kind of a little summary of what's here in terms of, you know, the status of our finances at this time?
Well, obviously with the retained fund balance and the amount we're returning to the taxpayers, we're in a good position. Our cash is in a good position as a result as well. As Charlie stated, some of that is due to the inability to hire staff that we need to have. So it's not all for good reasons. Some of it, we did have some savings in food service because the loss to the program wasn't as significant as what we had anticipated. So there was some savings there. So that was good too. There's a lot of detail in this, so it would be, I guess, summarizing it further, it's just breaking down of different expenses and different categories and different revenues. So if you had specific questions, I could certainly get back to you on that.
Okay. And is there anything in here that you feel as board members we should be particularly, looking at or noting?
No.
Paying attention to?
No.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is it's basically our budget that was presented and approved by the voters.
Mhm.
Presented in a different format to satisfy the needs of the state.
It's the financial statements, right? Of the district's expenditures throughout the year based on the voter approved budget.
Which we approve on manifests like every week throughout the year, so we know that's up. It's just a
Yes.
cumulative process,
Right,
so
so I'll
it's
make
not
a
like the
motion
first
that
time
we
we've seen it.
approve the DOE 25 and MS 25 as presented, but amended for the retained unassigned fund balance.
Thank you, Charlie. Can I get a second?
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
So John raised his hand first.
No, go ahead, Sandy.
No,
Put Sandy, put Sandy.
all right, Sandy, you have the second. Any further comments or questions? If not, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the two financial forms, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions? So those are approved by a vote of 6-0. Thank you, Carrie. Next up, we have a request to approve an expenditure from the Arthur Daniels Fund for an ice machine for the field house and athletic trainers office.
I have a question,
Yeah,
silly question perhaps. Is the field house the building down at the Stadium Field? Is that that
That
building?
is what.
Okay.
That's what is being referred to, yes.
Okay. And the ice machine is for drinks or for injury?
I think it could be used for a lot of things, both in those categories, but I think the idea is actually for, the purpose of providing ice to kids who may be injured, or anyone who may be injured.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Or to protect from, so afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
Persistent falls on the whole.
like when, yes. When SAU employees go out and play pickleball and fall down
In front of everybody.
and hurt their wrists. That happens. It'd be good to have ice.
All right, can we get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the request to expend $4,209.84 from the Arthur Daniels Fund for the purpose of an ice machine in the field house.
Thank you, Christine. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. Any further comments or questions?
The Arthur Daniels Fund allows this type of expenditure, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The Arthur Daniels Fund is for the purpose of the high school mostly. But, so it's for these kids, this purpose.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the ice machine for the field house from the Arthur Daniels Fund, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed and abstentions. That once again passes 6-0. And we'll move on to the approval of the Little Orioles Center Handbook.
So the Little Orioles Center Handbook just has a few modifications. Really, again, I think I had talked about it last time about making sure that more clothes were provided to have on hand. The center, first of all, in the case of an emergency situation, we bring the kids out and we could have a lot of different weather. But also, we spent time this summer planning curriculum and talking about the importance of being outside. And so I think that they plan on being outside as much as they possibly can. We have a lot of infants this year, or will have a lot of infants this year, so that might not be, as much, although I was watching them get taking their walks, their laps today and their carriages, so very exciting. So I think, we want them to be outside. So that's an addition. Some other changes around food and also around health, meaning like certain types of illnesses and what the response would be. So everything really pretty much aligns with the CDC and what they recommend. The other major, really the only major change was the costs, and you approved that already. So that's actually not within this document. It needs to be added to this document once the rest of it's approved, but we noticed that a little bit later that it hadn't been revised, but we'll make that revision if this is approved tonight. Then the goal is to just be able to hand this to the families so that they know what to expect this year.
Thank you, Ruben. Anyone want to make a motion on the Little Orioles Center Handbook?
I'll make a motion to approve the Little Orioles Center Handbook.
Thank you, Lisa. Can I get a second?
Second.
John seconds. Any questions or comments for Ruben on the revised Little Orioles Center Handbook?
I just have a very technical question.
Sure.
Given that we have passed a policy that bans use of cell phones for, for learners when they're working in the Little Oriole Center, are they still banned from using their cell phones, or is that, are they taking on a different role so they can send pictures to parents?
Yeah, they would not be able to use their personal cell phones.
Okay.
So if there are other devices that they would be using for picture purposes or anything like that, or if the school provided a cell phone for that purpose, we're still actually working some of that out because some of a lot of childcare centers use apps that are made for that purpose for communication. And a lot of those, and exploring them, don't really fit our digital policies.
Okay.
And so we're still looking at a couple different things to utilize, because we do want to send pictures and so forth, but we don't. The use of personal cell phones would be the issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how many children do we anticipate this year?
I think that, I think we're looking at probably about 12 full-timers at some point in time. We do have some changes. A lot of our older kids are now in pre-K, and so that's happening. Some of them will drop in for part-time.
After pre-K.
We do have some other individuals, families who are sending their learners to other spaces, and they want to keep them in those environments because it's been enriching for their children. But we come as the fallback to them. So, but a lot of our needs this year are going to really be in the area of infant, young children, and that's going to stagger through the course of the year. So we have, say 4 right now, 3 or 4 right now. In another couple of months, we'll have another 1 or 2, and potentially, I don't know.
Including drop-ins, we have 19 registered.
Yeah, including drop-offs. Yeah, I'm 12 is one. I'm always full timers.
It's amazing.
We have 19 registered, including the drop-ins.
I know that childcare was the difference between hiring an employee this year and not hiring. So whether that person tonight, I don't know. It might be still in the works, but that was the conversation. And it was a very young child.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, you know what's fantastic? Fantastic is being able to go and help our community here, our family, our teachers and staff. Because we have, it's not just teachers, other staff, support staff. Help them come alongside and raise their family. Like, we get to know them in a whole different way, and that's a different type of energy that's really fantastic. So I got to go down there today. It's brilliant seeing my little friends, and they were just happy playing or sleeping.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the other teachers too, like interacting with the babies, that they just bring a certain joy.
Oh my
You
goodness.
see them like walking through the hallway.
We've got
So there's kind of like the unintended benefits.
it's an
there.
unintended benefit to have 4-month-olds.
Yep.
6-month-olds, like 8. Oh, come on. Like,
Interesting.
well, then you have 18-year-olds, and then you have me. Like it's what an intergenerational environment. It's fantastic, and it's life-giving. And also spreads a lot of germs. We also get sick a lot more. As a result, building those immunities, right? So
Okay, I admit I'm losing track of things. Did we vote on this one yet?
I don't think we did vote on it.
No, we didn't vote yet.
Any more questions? Great. All those in favor of approving the Little Oriole Center handbook, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed and abstentions? That again passes 6-0-0. And we move on to the policy section. We have one policy for second reading related to meal charging. Anything to say, Lisa, about this?
This is the second reading. We came back to it, waiting for admin to have a chance to give their input. I have not received any input from admin. I don't know if anyone else has.
Yeah, admin's been providing some input, but I don't think they're done with providing their input, and I see that in here, we didn't put the meal charges or the prices in here, although that can be added. Doesn't really,
Did we also say we can email parents about the balance? Is this the one, Carrie, that we need to add the email and parents about their balance?
This, say that one more time.
We have policy that only lets us mail or call parents or speak to them in person, not email them.
No, this involves electronic.
It allows them.
Oh, yeah, it's all, yeah, just
Okay.
a way of communicating.
So to me, it sounds like this one's not yet ready to approve.
For what? With school starting, this is the policy that allows that error in payments to not happen again. Like this one's pretty necessary to get on before
Okay.
students come in. But why were we waiting? I'm sorry. What I missed?
You said they were waiting for input from administration.
No, they had the 2 weeks.
Okay,
That sounds to me like they are all set with it.
all right. Fair enough.
let's check something real fast.
Not the projector, but
Yeah, I put it off on purpose.
Yeah, so again, what shows up when we, especially for Wendy, who'll be inputting this. This has a lot of background in the policy. And it has this explanatory memo for the first few pages that won't be included in the actual policy. You have to scroll down to page, a lot of explanation. Here we go. Looking for the page. Notification. It looks like it's page 4. EFAA school lunch program meal changes, category priority required by law. That's what you'll look for, and that will be what's copied. The explanatory was important for everybody to say, here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing it. That's not necessary for the policy itself to be, when it's posted, this needs to be cut to just include the policy and references to it. If you have any questions, you can email me and I'll show you that. Please do.
so then I raised a question on that, because I'm reading this now. There are blanks in here that say like who cash or checks should be made to, where they should be mailed, and what the fees are.
Yep, and
So
so,
how do we know what to put in there when we publish those policies?
so that's going to be what the district does for that money. So if that goes to zero, whatever, or the school, maybe it goes to the school name, and you can just put in parentheses, child's school name.
Well, I think you can pass it with the understanding that the business office will fill in
Right.
the details.
Right.
That are in those blanks as to how they best,
Just,
what the dollar amounts are.
Yeah.
Which has already been voted on.
Yeah.
And how things will be done, which will be to the district.
Yeah.
Checks are always made to the chapter of each province of the district.
Okay, well, it sounds like we are ready to move forward with this one, if we can get a motion.
I made a motion to approve the policy. The FAA meal charging.
Thank you, Charlie. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. Any further discussion?
I think this is, again, one of those things that needs to be made very plainly clear to parents that this policy has changed and the impact that they'll see. Very plain language, not 9 pages.
How would that be done?
Well, it may be in the newsletter that's going out or on a Facebook post, but saying there's been a change in the meal charging policy and middle school and high school parents can expect to see emails and letters if they if the balance goes negative. And then maybe with a link to this. This is a substantial change.
One piece before we do a formal vote on it. At the end on page 8, it says alternate meals. That is an optional piece. My understanding is our food service does not do alternate meals. They don't have a paper bag with sun butter sandwiches. That they give a full meal regardless. And so I will say that with the edit of the sample piece at the top, let's also edit out the ending piece of alternate meals. That's simply not a practice that we have.
And it says throughout that the if a student is behind in their payments that they request a meal, they can still choose one from what is on the menu. It does not, even throughout this same document, doesn't mention alternative meals.
So we're saying exclude that whole section.
Yep, it's an optional piece. It says there, and I would exclude it because it's not what our food service recommends as best practice or wishes to do.
Sounds good. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Those in favor of approving the school lunch program, policy EFAA, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed and abstentions? So that passes 6-0.
Chris, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
In terms of the things that we discussed just now, for example, taking out the part about the alternative meals,
Right.
we've noted that there are some challenges with keeping the database up to date. I'm calling it the database, but you know, the policy manual.
Right.
So who does that fall to now? Is that something that our new school board secretary will be doing? Okay.
So we're making a list, we have a list of policies that have been reviewed by the board since September that may not have been updated. We have updated some of them. But we do have a list of what's outstanding. This one would be a high priority since it is something that we need to share with parents right away. So today was Wendy's first day. And once she gets through the minutes for this meeting, then the next project is let's start on school board policy.
Updating them. Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I do think the motion should have said as amended. Because you removed the section from what was presented.
I'll modify my motion to approve it as amended.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Do we need to re-vote on that now?
What?
Do we need to re-vote on that now?
No, I just,
Okay.
I don't know that we voted on, we had a second.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we did vote on it.
We did.
Well, I was asleep then.
It was
I
automatic.
would revote.
Yeah, let's re-vote on it.
The motion.
All right.
amended. Yeah.
Do we need a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. All right. Any discussion? All right, just as a reminder, we're changing Charlie's motion to as amended specifically to we'll move that alternative meals, section. If there are no other questions, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the amended motion indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed and abstentions. So that passes 6-0. And will be put on the policy hot list. Excellent. Next up, we have board committee updates. This will start down at Charlie's end of the table.
We had the finance committee meeting and we approved the unassigned fund balance and discussed the retention. And that was presented to the board tonight.
Charlie. John, you discuss?
The facilities committee met on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we had a good meeting. It was productive, I think. I have to give a lot of credit to Superintendent Duncan, who came in with a plan to discuss and with a lot of information to share. We did have a report done by the Turner Group of engineers 2 years ago. We used that information during the HVAC project, but the documents representing their report were substantial. This is the one for the SAU. No, sorry, for Conant Middle High School. This is the Jaffrey Grade School. And it goes through all the different pieces, the Ringe Memorial School. And it goes through, in each case, all of the different priorities, the windows and doors, the bathroom upgrades, and flooring, exterior wall improvements that are needed. Tries to give us a prioritization so that we can see, which things are most critical, have to be done now, which things are longer term. And this is basically an asset management plan. Ruben has tied it to his objectives for the coming years, and which he's currently negotiating with the board, and we started on that tonight. We also went through a document from Gale Associates, which is based on our fields. It includes the lower field down here, the stadium field, the Ringe Memorial Field. And basically we discussed a plan for identifying our priorities, putting dollar figures on it, which at least in a rough term we have from Turner. This document here gives all the different items and it gives, estimated costs. And this leads us towards a plan of coming up with a trust fund that would be set up for either for several various portions of this or possibly on a combined basis. That's something that we talked about. And I'll just finish up by saying that as part of the plan is to share results, some of the results with the public in September. And then hopefully by the time we're ready to start the budget season, we will have a plan in place for how we set up the trust fund or multiple trust funds. And the idea is to give the community an advanced understanding of what shape our buildings are in, what improvements have been made, and what things are there to be taken care of out into the future.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds great. Any questions for John on that or anybody else in the committee?
Did you read all those? This is all provided to us by you.
Was there anything that kind of jumped out as in your view of it as like a more pressing or immediate or expensive need than anything else? Or do you think we have a lot of discussions to do around prioritization?
Well, I would invite Christine and Sandy, as well as Ruben, to jump in on that. I mean, there's a lot of expensive items there. Some of them I think we'll all realize are nice to have, but maybe not affordable, and others, we probably will say, these would be nice to have, and we should convey them to the community and see if the community wants to support them and encourage them. Sandy, Christine, what do you think?
Well, so first of all, you go through these documents and it's all these photographs of all the flaws of the building. And
Right.
like I have now walked into this room and I see things differently. I see these panels that have the water spots. I see the baseboard missing, things that I've been in this room quite a few times and never really paid attention to. And now I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So there is that. I would say in terms of expensive things from Turner, doors, exterior doors, windows, those are needs at Jaffrey Grade School. Those windows are not original, but they're very old and the sills are rotting. We just put in this new HVAC system and yet we have old windows, so there's that. And the ramps in our buildings need to be replaced and handrails need to be replaced. The bathrooms. Biggest item, maybe second biggest item, I don't know, bathrooms. Are in rough
They're not
shape.
being up to code.
Not ADA compliant, not providing privacy to our learners in any way. I mean, you should not be able to walk by a bathroom and hear what's happening inside. Yeah.
So I think we also talked about the parking lot at Jaffrey Grade School.
Oh,
The
right,
just
that's
the
a big
parking
one.
lots, we always need to maintain those as well, but also, JGS, we've talked about that for years. And so, we'll do some more patching in that area, but we gotta figure out a plan, and it's it's a lot of money in general, regardless of parking lots, and it's something that it's important, but
Yes.
it's not the most exciting thing.
And there's gigantic icicles that hang off the roof at RMS, which directly above the office entrance, which pose a pretty significant risk to anyone standing there waiting to be let in. So there's the need for a portico or some sort of protection from the weather and from falling icicles. And perhaps wrapping that into somehow addressing the giant, what is this giant box that's in front of our mess? Right.
Right.
So
All right.
it's a lot. They're old buildings, they've been extremely well maintained, and you do see that row as well. This is in good condition, this is in good condition, this is in good condition. So it's not just all the negative. There was quite a bit of positive considering the age of the buildings.
So just for the facilities committee, were there projects that the facilities committee had budgeted and wanted to get done last year that didn't get done?
I would say that there were some things because of timing, but there were not major items. We did not, for example, have the money to replace these doors or windows. So it wasn't that those things were not done for that reason.
Okay, so you have things budgeted for this year. So I assume they're all prioritized. Do you have those things that if we end up the year where we have a surplus, that we can spend those on? And do we have, we're setting up for a budget starting in the next month or two. Do we have a list of those? I assume that the process is gonna take care of all of this stuff.
Well, I would say that, and Ruben, Sandy, Christine, correct me, but our plan is to bring forward these items and the priorities that committee recommends. And then get input from the rest of the school board and potentially from members of the community as well. There's, I think Christine summarized it well. There's, you look with new eyes and you see a lot of things that need to be done. But we also recognize that a lot has been done. This is the 1954 building. But down the hall is the 1937 up. Well, we've got the 1990, but you've got the 1937 and the 1905. I guess the 37 is the grade school, is that right? But the middle school is the 1905 building. So all of these things, have real age to them. And what we're doing is trying to upgrade them so that they will not only endure, but be high quality.
Yeah, and I think in the past few years, right, my brief time here, we haven't really invested in any major asset, right? We've been doing some painting, doing
So
some.
the HVAC system.
But in HVAC, right, with HVAC aside, right,
Yeah.
but as far as like stuff that's directly in our budget. It's been smaller, but I think it'll be important, in this one to start addressing those. Top priority items, you can't get by with, carpeting and painting every year, you're gonna need to slowly pick off some of those major items.
Yeah. We did the
That
parking
sounds
lots
like-
at RMS and here.
Part of our hope is to do the same thing with the community that these reports did for us on Saturday. Whereas we started going through, and as Christine mentioned, there are a lot of pictures that really show the deficiencies. And we want to bring them to the attention of the community. So the community is not shocked, but rather reminded that these buildings are old and that we want to have buildings that are equipped for modern education.
All right. Sounds like more to come there. Anything else for the facilities committee? Christine, did you have, anything else?
I don't think so.
Sandy, did you have anything? Lisa?
Hoping to have a legislative meeting. Haven't got confirmation on dates yet, but we're looking for that third Thursday in September to have a legislative meeting.
We'll talk afterwards.
Hmm?
We'll talk after.
Well, we'll talk when Kim's around
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah, our third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I would say, Ruben, if we, at some point in time, I believe Turner had designed some bathrooms for us. Right?
Turner, or I think it was
Maybe it
either
was
Turner or EI, one of those.
Somebody
Yeah, I can't remember which.
It
It was
would
an
be-
organization, yeah.
really good to pull that up at some point and review it, because that's a substantial need that our buildings have for many reasons.
And that report from Gail that you got, was that something recent?
Yep.
Right,
Within the past 2 weeks, yes.
past few weeks, right? So I know that was, the impetus of that was, right, or at least part of it was a committee of
Yep.
community members, right? So I'm sure, sounds like you're on track to kind of get back to them with the results. I know it's probably been a year, right? Anyways, but I'm sure they'll be interested in the results and.
Yep, it was very interesting report. It compared different options to do the stadium field with just sort of like basic redoing of the track, grinding down to a certain level and resurfacing. The parking lot was part of every plan because it's seen as essential. And then there's like, and what else can we do? If you want to double your money and get more bleachers, you can get a bandstand,
Right.
or a press box. And the same thing on the other side with lower field, how to drain it, how to get the softball field up to playing condition, and can we actually bring back the old baseball diamond? That's what was discussed.
Okay.
And if anything could possibly be done at RMS.
And then whether you had the more expensive, but different types of benefits with a turf
And
in
there's,
certain location, well, mainly one location. Because it allowed you the most flexibility for sports.
Yeah.
Was on the lower field, the higher part of the lower field.
and then there was a very passing glance at whether or not we could do anything with athletic fields on Route 202. That was not much information provided on that.
It seemed like if you look at that information, you're like, oh, that's the way to go, right? It was the cheapest option for the most that you can get, and then you're like, there's a lot of unknowns with that one. I think you double the triple the cost and you might be right.
Mhm.
All right, anything else? Thanks for that detailed update. We have discussion items. We didn't have anything planned for today.
We did have the education committee too, that happened before the finance committee. I don't know if anyone wanted to discuss that, not to prolong things. I don't know if that was
Wasn't there, so. Education committee, is there an education committee update?
Yes, we had an education committee meeting and we had presentations by the elementary school on the NHSAS Ames Web Plus.
two data sources.
And behavior.
So math, literacy in the elementary levels, similar to what the high school had presented before. They have utilized Ames Web Plus more, which is, you used to do some other types of testing, but this is your universal screener's progress monitoring tool. So it's to help on an ongoing basis throughout the course of the year. And then the discipline is more like just new baseline information, basically, is what we have. There was some comparison to previous years, but I would caution that. I would say new baseline information this past year, and that doesn't use either the New Hampshire SAS or the Ames Web. It's its own thing. And because we've done such a great job, Leslie, with Alma implementation, they're all going to go on a single platform for recording data in Alma.
And
or
student incidents will now be in
students.
Alma across all schools, which will also make CRDC reporting easier at the end of the year when we have to do that. And just the general reporting, so it's all in one place. And it will move forward, So when a child is in 6th grade, if there's a need to look back, it's possible, whereas before it was quite difficult.
And can I ask with that, will all the teachers who have each learner have access to that learner's combined cross
I
curricular?
do not think so. I would have to double check. Any person in Alma can create an incident, but I do not believe that any person in Alma can see all the history of incidents.
Okay,
Administrators can, and there's issues with privacy and things like
Right.
that, who can see what. So we have set that up, and off the top of my head, I can't tell you, can't recall what we decided at that time.
Mhm.
If we don't have any discussion items, we'll open up the
I-
floor. Oh,
Yeah.
one more.
I think,
I just was in relation to the education committee.
Yeah.
We were successful in bringing wit and wisdom on in the spring, and that implementation has started, right? But I suppose this is going to be the main year for rolling that out. Is that how will that all work?
All right, so the quick way of looking at it is, because it's very involved. We've brought in the materials, we have that, we were able to purchase that last year, get people some resources so they can, look over that, some of it was used. Then professional development occurred in the summer, early summertime, but still last school year with the all of the administration. And then during the summertime, a leadership, spring, I'm sorry, a leadership and leadership team from the elementaries, both elementary schools, roughly divided evenly with numbers of participants, came together to develop how the implementation was going to take place, plus and what the focus was going to be. And then that also has translated into, or has transferred, over to the middle high school, mainly the middle school, because it's a K-8 initiative. And some of those individuals, or one in particular of those individuals from the elementary literacy leadership team, came and provided professional development to the middle school team up here and get kind of some uniform thinking and conversations going, which is great. And that was well received. That happened this past week, actually. And then there's more to come. So next Monday, we'll have professional developments and we're still working out some details about this, but for about 200 individuals having to do with this literacy initiative. So there will be about 60 to 65 individuals who are getting the full day, what we may call a launch, meaning everything you need to know for this first year of launching this program. Those are the individuals who are directly responsible for working with kids in that, in the program itself. And then the rest of the individuals will get something called a capsule training, which is like a half of the training, but how to utilize these processes, the educational processes, but also how to teach and use literacy within any content area. So paraprofessionals, your unified arts teachers, math teachers, things like that. Some math teachers won't be part of that because they'll be involved in math training as well at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that update.
Yeah. And we'll have professional development through the year, and it will be monitored. Everything will be monitored on an ongoing basis. It's the major curriculum initiative in the district for next year. It will be a 3-year implementation, but that's just to make sure that, things should be running very well in that 3rd year. I believe we'll see results soon.
I happened to run into one of the teachers, JGS specialists at a farmer's market. And she talked about the training. And she was so excited. I mean, it's funny because you say it was exciting, it's positive, but then to hear a teacher say, it's so exciting, it's going to be so amazing, I've already learned so much. And I think, wow, this is really cool. This is really changing things.
The learning is the exciting piece.
Yeah.
I think that will be brought to the learners as well, to see their eyes open. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be hard. So it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of work. And that individual that I paid off to go to the farmer's market did exactly what I asked him to do. So that's
It's what part of it says
productive struggle. And everyone's going to be dealing with what's called productive struggle. Yeah, that's when learning happens.
Yeah.
Is when you have that proper amount of tension and stress, if you want to think of it that way, but not overwhelming. You need to keep that going.
All right, anything else for board committee updates? No, I don't think we had discussion items.
I have one, if that's okay.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Cool. I didn't have another area where there's kind of fit, so I just wanted to let the board know if they didn't already that Ed 306, the minimum standards, updates have been posted as far as the next draft. Pretty much a final draft before it goes to voting, I think September 14th timeframe, mid-September. And you can view those updates, and it's great because they list who recommended the updates and what they agreed to and cut out. This draft feels less slashing than the original proposals. It feels like they listened to a lot of people. And changes that there's still some big changes. But I do encourage you guys to read it and take a look at what was said about it and the concerns, especially of people as it went through. There are areas that are still being cut. The whole section about custodial staff not using toxic chemicals when students are in school has been cut. That is something that we want to make sure we have policies on. But Barrett Christina, the director for the New Hampshire School Board Association, proposed because of policy timelines that school districts be given 6 months to implement policies that will have to change due to these minimum standards. So we have some time to review, figure out what needs to change with it, because there will be quite a few changes once this ends up going through. But it looks like it's in the final stages. They did listen to a lot of people, clearly, but yes, there's still things that are going to make some differences. So just want to encourage you guys to take a look at that. It's ED 306.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
Any other discussion items? Okay, we'll move to the second session of public comments. Still have the empty room here, but we'll open it up to the online audience. So nobody's raising their hand in the online audience, and we have board matters. Know that Ruben, you had something to discuss?
Sure. Yeah, so there's actually a couple board matters, one of which that I'm realizing as I wrote down here. Probably needs to be a non-public one, that we might need to go no, I don't think for very long. It's then that topic would be of, we've had several people really wanting to stay in district, but are having difficulty finding housing here, and there's been transient type of experiences for some people. So something that has been brought to me, and even today we received something that really it's a conversation we have to have in non-public, because it involves individuals and situations, specific situations. But the board matter that is good for public session is about Barrett Christina. Actually, he sent an email to me, was it today? I opened it today and passed it along. Basically, because you were the school board of the year, it is customary for I didn't tell you this ahead of time, by the way, I'm just letting you know that someone or people from the school board present or talk about what it is they've been doing, what's been successful from their organization at the delegate assembly. It's an honor. Look at it that way. So I told them I'd get back to them.
Last year, when I went to the assembly, I know you guys, many of you have gone before, Oyster River got it, and it's an hour-long presentation with full visual PowerPoint, and there were multiple people speaking at it, but they reserve an hour for the school board of the year.
Well, it's a super honor because they only gave you about a minute or two to speak at the awards ceremony, so you can really take some time.
And the delegate assembly is October 19th. Just look that up.
Yeah, I think what we can do is. The date, I think, will be a critical part of it, but I think it would be good if we could do it, right? And we should do that. I'd certainly be willing to help put that together as far as availability on that date, I think. You
Yeah.
said you give us a week, so how about we
Send out
I
a,
can send out an email with a poll.
Yep.
We can talk about, we can be there. I know I need to check my schedule. I'm sure other people do as well. But yeah, I think it would be, we'd be happy to do it.
oh wait, you just volunteered? Thank you. I heard it. Did you hear it?
I'm actually fairly certain I have a conflict. But
Kim's not here, we should.
You know, when
volunteer.
politicians are asked questions, they always answer some other question other than what they are asked. But this could be an opportunity to talk about not just, what has been done in the past, but what plans are for the future and what we think is important. So I think you should, if you can do it, I think it would be great
It is an opportunity
to do something.
to have
Yeah,
a platform.
a platform. That's right.
all right, yeah, we'll figure that out in the next week.
Yeah.
Any other board matters? If not, we have, well, actually, are we gonna, sounds like we may need to go back into non-public.
I'll make a motion to enter into non-public for purpose of
Yep.
personnel.
Yep. Student. So,
I'll second that.
Very much, I guess, we do a roll call vote, right? Slowly. Going to non-public. John,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Chris, yes. Sandy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.